Welcome back, everyone, to the 15th Emerging Growth Conference. It's been a great day so far. Please welcome our next presenter. We have Global Arena Holding Inc. It trades on the OTC Pink sheets under the symbol GAHC. It is a holding and technology development company providing comprehensive technology-enabled election services. Please welcome its CEO, John Matthews. Welcome, John.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us this afternoon.
All right, we're excited to hear your presentation. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, first, as usual, we want to thank you, Anna, and the Emerging Growth Conference for inviting us and for helping us tell our story to our shareholders. First, a little bit of business, except for some of the statements of historical fact, the information contained herein is of a forward-looking nature, and such forward-looking information involves known and unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors which may cause the actual results, performance, or achievements of the company to be materially different from any future results. So Global Arena Holdings, for those of you that are just being introduced to us, is a public company that has its common stock traded on the over-the-counter pink sheet under the symbol GAHC. We're currently a reporting company and have been. Our bids and offers of the common stock are available to anybody at the http://www.otcmarkets.com/stock/GAHC/quote. We file our information with the Securities Exchange Commission, as many of you know, and the reports filed with the SEC and the definitive documentation that's provided either to you as a prospective investor can be accessed at the SEC through www.sec.gov. So we want to thank everybody for joining us today. I'll begin briefly by just updating where the company is financially. I'd then like to discuss our current business with our emphasis on our fully operating subsidiary, Global Election Services. Elections are very timely in the marketplace today. This has been in the past a family business, so we have decades of experience in this marketplace. I'll then also talk about the current proprietary software, which there are slides that we're going to walk through with you. We also have a PowerPoint, which we'd like to share with prospective investors this afternoon. And finally, I'd like to explain the board of directors and our reasoning for our upcoming shareholders meeting on September 7th and the proposals that we've put forth to our shareholders who are currently voting on it now. So we look forward and invite all of our shareholders to attend our meeting at the Kimberly Hotel in New York City on September 7th at 9 o'clock in the morning. Shareholders who have been following the company are probably aware that for the 10 quarter ended June 30th, 2021, really reflected our and management's continued effort to grow the company at a steady and disciplined pace. Some of the financial highlights, and there's a lot to look at, so I always encourage people to look at these SEC filings. I mean, God knows we spend an awful lot of money preparing them, so I really encourage people to read them because they're very important, and there's a lot of detail that you really can't go over in just 30 minutes on a webinar. So revenue for the second quarter increased 51% year over year. To $350,676 as compared to $232,237 for the previous year's quarter last year. Losses from our operations decreased 41% to $193,016 as compared to $329,901 for the corresponding quarter last year. And then our net loss was $102,388. A decrease of about 92% from a net loss of $1,323,178 in the second quarter of last year. Also, we like to highlight that our revenues for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2021 were $585,261 as compared to $340,666 for the period of 2020. This $585,261 also does not include about $130,000 of deferred revenue from Global Election Services. A lot of people sometimes call and ask me, why do we have these deferred revenue lines? And what happens is, as we go quarter to quarter in our elections business, we might have 2 or 3 payments from our individual clients. And so these clients might have maybe only 75% of their payments in, and so the third part would be carried over as we complete the election. So we're happy to report that, for this upcoming, next 2 quarters, there was 130,000 in additional revenue that has not yet closed. We really attribute the substantial decline in the net losses, which is a big number, to a significant reduction in the change in fair value of the derivative liability. The derivative liability is a liability that exists on the books of the company based on convertible notes, warrants, things of that nature, that can affect ultimately the fair basis of the derivative liability. We believe we were able to do this, having entered into a lot of debt reduction agreements, which we've mentioned in previous press releases, which you can look on our sites and look at individually. These debt reduction agreements dramatically reduce the so-called toxic convertible debt obligations, meaning that excessive dilutive conversions really no longer weigh down the company's financials. So while the filing is a continued improvement from where we started and where we're growing the business, make no mistake, we're still not profitable. We're still a going concern, and we still all have a lot of work to do, which is what we're planning on doing. Again, I want to encourage everyone to read the financials. So, who is Global Arena for those of you joining us for the first time? Well, we have 3 subsidiaries. 2 of them are in development, which is GAHC Acquisition Corp., which is formed to acquire assets in the blockchain space, and the Tidewater Energy Group, which is formed to explore opportunities in the oil, gas, mineral, and energy business. And again, both of these companies are active in their respective markets, but as of yet have not contributed to any revenue. And we'll be speaking about both of those in the very near future. The third company, which actually does 100% of the revenue, which is what many of you have tuned in today to talk about, is Global Election Services, which currently accounts for 100% of the revenue generated by Global Arena Holdings. So I can honestly say this is probably the most exciting company I've ever been involved in. Many of you who are watching and listening are aware of the significant election problems that we're facing worldwide and certainly in the United States. I never thought, honestly, that I'd be discussing whether or not we were rigging elections in America. It's really a frightening problem, and it really underscores the liability that we all as Americans face going forward in the future. I mean, if the foundation of our democracy is based on open and free elections, and we're now in multiple states debating whether or not we're doing that, it's a significant problem for America. And so with that, we're going to move to one of our first slides with global elections, which is, what is the elections industry? So name an industry that's completely recession-proof. Why do we say that? Elections have to happen every year. It's not just a presidential election every 4 years. We have congressional seats that run every 2 years. In multiple states, we have governors that run on alternate time periods. We have senators running every 6 years. We have local judges. We have local sheriffs. We have local school boards. The average board of elections runs between 9 and 11 elections a year. So when we talk about selling election software, it's an ongoing process as municipalities throughout the United States buy and invest in election software. What industry is central for the future of democratic governments? Well, open, fair, and free elections. What industry is 100% funded by the government? Well, U.S. government elections. We'll get to that in a second. How many industries have under 10 market leaders worldwide? Well, as you guys read and see, there's multiple players that account for 90% of the business in the United States, and we can put those into 4 names. What industry is proven track record? You can't just walk into this business. You have to have a track record. Someone has to bet on you and say, we trust this company to come in and run our election and hopefully have a track record. What industry is ripe for disruptive technology, which we're going to talk about? But blockchain for registration, to know your voter in the municipal level, we think is a spectacular investment. And we're not new to blockchain. And we haven't promoted ourselves, but we made our first blockchain investment in 2014. So we understand blockchain. What industry is in the news daily? Well, you know. So as we move forward, the next slide. This is a slide that many of you probably have, but just in the highlighting what we're discussing, according to a Reuters Ipsos poll on March 30th, 2021, 40% of the U.S. electorate currently believes the 2020 election was fraudulent and stolen. I don't think we need to say any more on that slide. That says pretty much everything, and we read about it continually. GES conducts and administers almost all of its elections using paper ballots. We do online voting, which I'll get to, but the bulk of our business is absentee paper ballots. Moving forward, what have we done? Well, our management team, led by Marilyn Fallick, my father, has 4 decades of management team election experience. My father was actually a Democratic elections commissioner for the county of Nassau. Marilyn has been doing this. This is her 40th year. We have specifically focused on the labor side of the business, and we've conducted over 8,600 elections, or they have, our management team, over 40 million voters. When Global Elections does an election for an organized labor union in the United States, our elections are certified to the United States Department of Labor. And all losing candidates have the right to appeal to the United States Department of Labor, at which time an election is reviewed by the Department of Labor OLMS. We're happy to say that in all the period of time that we've been doing this, our teams, our management group, we've never had an election turned over based on Global Election Services work. So it's never been us if an election's been turned over. Sometimes elections are turned over for campaigning and things of that nature, but never because of Global Election Services. We have hundreds of clients that have been using us over and over again. So when we talk about the barriers to entry, this is not an industry that you can just walk in, which is why the acquisition of Election Services Solutions was so important. So we go through a significant amount of time and effort in explaining to our clients the administration of an election, which really begins with the actual, processing, as you can see here, of an election plan. We attend the nominations meeting and provide guidance with them. We'll also look at their bylaws. We conduct candidate meetings, outline the rules and procedures for each individual organized labor union, or if it's a co-op or a condo or universities. We basically design all of the election materials, from outer envelopes to secret ballot envelopes to ballots, right back to business reply mail that comes back to lock boxes that we control with the United States Post Office, so that no one can try to get an extra ballot. We maintain voter help desks so that people can call 24/7 and speak to our teams. So if they have a question about their ballot, or if we're voting online, or any particular question, they have the ability to speak to someone. And we register all the eligible envelopes through a proprietary registration system, which is something I'm going to get to in the next slide. And we actually scan all of the tabulations on a proprietary tabulation system. And so we then finally certify those election results. So this is not a business you can just start tomorrow and jump into the business. People that are going to hire you are going to be looking for an extended track record. And we'll move on to the next slide. Our proprietary voter registration software was developed by us over the past few years. That's where we've been spending money on developing it. And it looks up voters on a secure database to determine their eligibility, and also to ensure that the eligible voter only votes once. How does that work sometimes? Well, sometimes we do hybrid elections where people can vote by mail, or they can vote in person in the same election. And sometimes they can vote online, they can vote by mail, and they can vote in person. And sometimes people lose their ballots, or it doesn't make it to their house for some reason, might have moved. And sometimes we might have one person trying to vote 4 times. So all of our softwares have been developed to actually make sure that that person is only allowed to vote once. So mail and absentee ballots, we use barcodes or QR codes on the outer envelope to identify who the individuals are that are mailing back. So we develop a registration list of who's eligible, which starts with the company or the organization that provides us with their eligible voters. In-person voters can walk in and sign up with us, and we can capture a signature, or depending on the rules of the regulations. Our systems are very flexible and very easy for people that are not as educated or sophisticated with computers as one might think. So either way, if the voter is not eligible for any reason, we would stop that or challenge that ballot. So the system protocols prevent duplicate voting in any potential possibility. When we talk about our ballot scanning and tabulation software, it's very interesting that most of the original software that was created for tabulation and scanning is actually older software that you have to apply to multiple groups. We base a lot of our software on Abby, and I'll get to that in another document. But These are software platforms that have been developed all the way back to Xerox and Eastman Kodak, because an image is an image. So our computer hardware is designed for each location to run without requiring the internet or Wi-Fi. So we're completely locked down when we actually scan ballots, so that no one can come in or try to hack us or try to change the numbers or in any particular way get into the machines that are scanning the ballots. The ballots are processed with an advanced OMR, OCR scanning and tabulation software, which features deskewing, despeckling, and image correction. And what does that mean? It means a lot of times when people fill out ballots, instead of checking the box or circling the oval perfectly, they'll circle the whole thing, or they'll cross it out, or they'll cross into other names. So our software recognizes it. So as we actually process a ballot, our software is unique to us in that we actually do a tabulation, and then subsequently and simultaneously, it takes a JPEG picture, which gives us the ability to order it electronically. And on our third is we actually keep a physical copy of the ballot. So we have 3 ways to customize a triple auditing capability: JPEG image, each ballot, tabulation log, and physical paper ballot. So this gives our clients a real significant comfort zone in what we're actually running through and counting is actually accurate. I know this sounds a lot simpler. People say, why doesn't this happen all the time in America? But a lot of work went into this. And we've worked with a lot of major companies in the past. And through trial and error, we've developed these software programs that we've been very happy, and our clients are very, very happy with them. So we'll move on. One of the things that tested us and our ability to grow over the last few years was the ability to scale up and do elections of multiple size. Before you see a slide that talks about us winning the North Dakota presidential primary, which is the Democratic NPL, which was held in March of 2020, just about a week before we all found out we were in a worldwide pandemic. We won this competitive bid and successfully completed the 2020 Democratic NPL election. It was a very interesting test for us because we had to make sure that our software systems and our hardware systems could function at multiple locations because we were handling the state. We also did it in that way that voters could vote by mail. And then there's a cutoff time, but they had the opportunity to vote either absentee ballot or by mail. And then they had the right to appear in person at locations across the state of North Dakota. And all of our systems had to be coordinated because when they walked in, we actually captured signatures and registered new voters. So besides, developing the envelopes that were mailed to voters, we were able to handle our call center 3,000 individual residents of the state of North Dakota, which, it's starting to show that the business can easily handle this. We process and return mail ballots before the election. We manage the voter base in the state of North Dakota. An interesting point about the state of North Dakota is that anyone can vote in a primary. So in effect, the registration list for the state of North Dakota is the phone book of the entire state. We set up a secure and encrypted server and uploaded 600,000 potential voters, which we coordinated in the registration of 14 voting locations across the state simultaneously. So at first we had to make sure that people voted by mail were then blocked from potentially voting again in person, which sometimes happens. Sometimes people forget they mailed a ballot. Sounds odd, but it does happen. We now have a group of 17 trade supervisors and IT personnel, which manage those 14-person locations. And I was most proud of our registration software in that we trained over 100 volunteers the morning of the election, people that volunteer for elections. And if you've ever voted in person, it's an interesting thing to have people come and volunteer to be part of the democratic system and have to then deal with the registration of potential voters who are on lines and the pressure and just all the noise and the activity that's going on with the excitement of people that are voting. And so we actually trained 100 people who, during the course of the day, actually registered 12,000 individuals to vote and processed them through. We configured and tested 52 registration computers and delivered those along with 52 digital signature pads because we captured signatures again. So this was, again, a little bit more complicated. And at the end of the day, we processed over 14,500 ballots and delivered the election results. As the polls closed, as the Associated Press said at the time, I think we were the fastest caucus in 2020 presidential Democratic Democratic politics. So we were very pleased with that. That was a real test of our teams, our systems, led by Marilyn Fallick and Catherine Weisbach and all the teams that go out there every day and, generate this revenue. But this is what gives you the confidence to then go out and say we're going to go into and expand the business. Because you don't want to do an election and blow up the company. So I don't take those risks. Paper ballots. Well, fairly obvious. In the United States, there's 3,700 municipal counties, 64 parishes, 19 organized boroughs, 11 census areas, and 41 independent cities in the District of Columbia, all of whom are potential clients for us as we move forward in our continued growth. In October 23 of 2019, the Brennan Center, and I encourage anyone that's interested in elections to look at the Brennan Center. There's a lot of very interesting information about what they're doing there. And they measure that the national cost for some of the most critical election measures is going to be $2.2 billion over the next 5 years. Again, it talks about some of the people and the competitors. This is all widely available public information. The information here as far as voters, in 2020, we had early voters of 101 million, in-person voters of 35 million, mail ballots 65 million return, and mail ballots outstanding 26 million. In any event, as we saw last year, there's a lot of controversy about mail ballots and absentee ballots, and it all begins with voter registration and who know your voter and who is eligible to vote, and that's what we're focusing because we believe that is the most important thing that we could do. Elections Assistance Commission, focusing again on the government. Like all U.S. agencies, we have an agency that we would report to, just as a public company reports to the Securities Exchange Commission. We have an agency called the Elections Assistance Commission, the EAC. The EAC has just recently published new rules or guidelines, they're called voluntary guidelines, where elections companies actually have to apply. And during this period of time, you submit all your applications that are going to be either for software for registration, software for hardware, software for internet voting, software for blockchain voting, software for hardware itself. And this is a very big moment for us. The U.S. government did issue those directives and those voting system guidelines 2.0 on February 10th, 2021. The U.S. government, this agency, is now certifying the individuals and the companies that would then certify individual companies that would apply. So that process is underway. So I can't tell you when that process is going to end right now, but that's kind of where we are. And the pandemic definitely slowed down everything for everybody. But we've engaged third-party software developers to begin the various state and the EAC certification process, which covers the voting systems testing, technical data package review, physical configuration, system integration testing, functional configurational audit, and security testing. These individuals that we've worked with in the past have actually worked with other companies and have successfully completed certifications for other companies. So we're about to begin this process. We believe this is obviously a tipping point for the company. I can't tell you exactly when filings will go in because we're not exactly sure the people will be certifying us or approved yet. So it's a little bit caught before the horse, but sooner than later. We built an online proprietary voting software as well. So we have proprietary registration, proprietary scanning, and proprietary now online voting. This software for the labor business that we run today is Title IV compliant with the U.S. Department of Labor OLMS, which are very significant rules. In a lot of ways, the U.S. Department of Labor has tighter standards to vote than actually many jurisdictions in the United States. Our software provides a secure platform for the eligible voters to securely cast a secret ballot. We deployed this software in the third quarter of last year, 2020. The software itself can do an amazing amount of things and could also be used for polling. But at this current time, we're using it really just for online voting. And a lot of our clients are looking to use that business as it does cut down on the price of the U.S. mail system and obviously on the printing of materials, which has to be done at a labor printer. So we're in this business. The next slide will give you a little bit of an overview of how that business actually works. The computer that we built is on a platform of one of the most secure infrastructures. I can tell you a little bit about this. without giving away the secret sauce, of the Amazon Web Services, which is obviously a comprehensive, evolving platform provided by Amazon that includes infrastructure services such as IaaS platform and packaged software PaaS, and software service offerings SaaS. The platform really enables GES to protect individual client data, including the ability to encrypt it, move it, manage it. All data across the global network interconnects with the GES secure data and is automatically encrypted as the physical layer before it leaves our secured facilities. Additional encryption layers exist as well. So we control where our data is stored, fine-grained identity and access controls combined with continuous monitoring for near real-time security information to ensure that the right resources have the right access at all time. GS encryption software uses the AES 256 with a cryptographic key using an RSA elliptical curve to 4096. So you're really technical out there and want to know exactly what it is. A 6-digit security code is provided to the potential voter, very similar to if you're moving money through one of your banks, and delivered to the voter's email address provided by the client, which then has to be validated by the prospective voter in order to authenticate the identity of the voter before the voter may access the ballot. So this platform verifies that users do not use the back and forward browsers also, a safe mechanism against tampering, and distributed denial of service DDoS protection tools help secure websites and applications and prevent DDoS attacks. So we're very pleased with this online voting platform, which is now in use. It's currently being used by 3 of our clients right now and will be deployed, I believe, three times potentially in the next couple of months. But it's becoming a very popular product that we have, for our shareholders. So one of the things that we have not spoke about is, I've alluded to it, is our relationship with blockchain or digital ledger technology. We are very familiar with it. And back in October 2015, we invested in Blockchain Technologies Corporation, which had at the time pending applications in the U.S. Patent Office for election technology patents. That company, Blockchain Technologies Corporation, did actually get those U.S. patents, and GES is an investor in Blockchain Technologies Corporation. We have not used those patents to date, and those patents we would have to work with Blockchain Technologies Corporation, and we'd have to update any of our contracts or rules. But it was the beginning of our relationship and where we thought blockchain would go. And as you can see, we didn't just do this recently. The next slide, please. On around June 19th, 2019, we signed GES an engagement letter with Blockchain Valley Ventures in Zug, Switzerland. They're a Crypto Valley, Switzerland-based venture capital firm. And under the terms of the agreement, we paid them 25,000 Swiss francs for development and facilitation of an extended workshop with relevant best-in-class third-party blockchain technology companies. So we made 2 trips there. We met them here. We've had, in the past, hundreds of conversations with them. And they served as an advisor in connection with the voter registration, voter authentication, and voter eligibility using a blockchain platform, primarily covering the following issues. The development facilitation of an extended workshop, right, on blockchain technology with best third-in-the-class companies such as Phoenix, Securasys, and others. We developed a high-level technology solution architecture and its requirements for the blockchain-based voter registration platform. Again, I'm focusing on the voter registration platform. We documented the results in order to provide the basis of technical development. And we also looked at the legal facilitation of all of this and how it might be implemented, tax liabilities, things of that nature with third parties, and then project management during this engagement. And they delivered to us a working paper, which we have been using, discussing a high-level envisaged platform. As a result of these relationships, we moved on and began to work with TrueVote, who many of our shareholders are familiar with. TrueVote is a private company, and we are currently working with TrueVote. They issued a white paper on June 1st, 2021. And the white paper outlines a method of voting in elections, which is built on encryption, a public ledger, the blockchain checksums, all stored data, smart contracts, and things of that nature.
John, I I hate to interrupt you, but we got to move on to our next presenter. So you're just going to have to come back to another conference.
All right. Well, the good news is we hit the last slide, so we're good to go. I think we got everything out there.
Well, our viewers have tons of questions for you, but we're going to send these questions directly to you, John, so you can answer them on your own time. But please plan on coming back, and so we can get more of that live Q&A action going on. But really thrilling stuff you have, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, we hope to see you again. And everyone stay with us. We're going to transition to our next presenter. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back.